Nope, not gonna say hi.
It's okay.
Okay. Welcome to the reception. We hope you guys are having fun. We thought while you were waiting, we would tell you a little bit about how Justin and I got started.
So the first time that I saw Sarah, I was walking to the calf with Taylor Wood, and Sarah walked by, and the first thing I said about her was, wow, she has really pretty eyes. So I had a pretty positive first thought of her. She, on the other hand...
Well, when I first met Justin, we were at a brother-sister hall event, and he was leading this game, and he was really concerned about the rules, and I remember thinking in my head at the end of the time when we were learning the game, wow, I could never marry someone like that.
So we did a lot of brother-sister hall activities together, and Sarah and I spent some time together at them, but not a whole lot. We laughed and had fun, but it wasn't until the next year we had a class together, Visual Art Foundation, and that's when I really started working on her.
So we were in this class together, and I was really fast at taking notes, and he was kind of slow at that. So I would take all the notes, and then I would turn my paper around, and he would copy them off with him and a couple of his friends. And that kind of started a series of different games we would play through passing notes and things.
So this note passing quickly turned into me doing games. Like I would draw something and say, finish the drawing, or make up a word and say, draw a picture of what this word means. Cute things like this. But I also started asking questions on these games, like, how are classes? How was this project? When are you working tonight? And there was one night that she was working a 4-hour shift, and I decided to come visit her in the computer lab.
So here we go.
So I would always plan something different to do in the computer lab so I didn't look like I was some desperate guy. I would go print assignments that I had already turned in, or I would have a link that I just had to show Sarah. But I would make excuses to go visit her in the computer lab.
So he was coming to the lab like 2 or 3 times a week when I was working, and I really thought he was just being kind of friendly and was just coming to kind of hang out. And it wasn't until, I would say, maybe 3-4 weeks in, I remember talking to my roommate, and I was like, so I think there's this guy that's trying to like woo me or something, but I don't really know. And I explained to her what he was doing, and she was like, yeah, he's trying to get you.
So I finally got up the courage to ask her out to coffee, even though I knew both of us didn't drink coffee. We went downtown, we fed the ducks, we went to Cafe on Broadway and played with colored pencils, we colored, and we just had a good time. And when I dropped her off, I said, I'd really like to do this again sometime. And she said one of the least reassuring lines a girl can say, which is, sure? So I had to still take my time, and then maybe it was the next week or the next week, I asked her out to dinner.
To which I said, okay. And I was like, surely he's gonna tell me something. We're gonna talk about our relationship, what's been going on. So I get ready, I'm like, okay, I'm prepared to kind of talk about this. And we get in the car, nothing. We order our food, nothing. He drives me back, nothing. And he just asks, would you like to do something like this again? And in my head I'm like, well, yeah, but what are we doing? And
so we continued hanging out and doing fun things, and then finally one night, I used the word date with her. I said, I would like to take you on a date, out to dinner, and we go and do some fun things in the Springdale, Fayetteville area. And she said, okay.
When he asked me to go, I couldn't say no, so I nervously said yes. And I remember going back to my room that night, and my heart was just beating 1,000,000 times an hour. And the next morning, I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, I don't want to tell him to yes if I don't really like him. I don't want to keep leading him on and be that jerk that just, he buys me all this food, and I'm like, just kidding, don't really like you. So I decided that I would text him that day.
So then I got the text that every guy dreads. It said, "Hey, can we talk? Preferably before this evening?" And I said, "Of course." And I went to meet her between Jalvin and Walker. And we went on a walk in which she talked about how she didn't really know if she wanted to go on this date. And she knew what I had been doing, and she knew that I liked her, but she just didn't know. She really liked being my friend, and she wanted to continue being friends, but this whole thing, she wasn't really ready for it.
So I finished telling him all of this, and he ends the conversation with, "Okay, well, I still want to take you out. Can we still go out to dinner and maybe hang out a little bit, but we don't call it a date?" And in my head, I was like, what? I thought I was going to get out of this date. But I agreed, and we went anyway.
It was totally a date.
So he dropped me off from the date, and we had so much fun. We went out to dinner, and we went to Barnes & Noble, and we read our favorite children's books to each other, and I remember thinking in my head, dang it, I spoke too soon. I shouldn't have told him that I didn't like him or anything like that, because I continued to grow in that fondness of him when he asked me to the Christmas dance, and we went swing dancing, and we just had so much fun. We laughed a lot, and we just had fun dancing. It was just a good time.
So in that first conversation we had about her saying no, she mentioned that she just wanted to be friends. So I wanted to keep being her friend. Maybe a little bit more than a friend, taking her on not dates and going to Christmas dances together. I never really gave up, but I also didn't know where it was going. Until the night before the day that Christmas break started. She texted me and she said, "Hey, would you want to run with me tomorrow morning?" And I remember I was sitting with Sam Young, and I said, I don't know if I can do that, I'm pretty tired now. And he said, "Justin, you're going to run with her."
So I asked him to run because I wanted to be sure that he knew that I wasn't totally giving up on us. So we went running that day, and we came back, and we left for Christmas break, and we started talking a lot on Facebook. We sent each other pages of messages on Facebook, and I started to kind of figure out who he was. He wasn't just this silly guy that made a lot of jokes. He was really thoughtful and deep, and we talked about our families and what we were learning in scripture and what we were reading, and I was really, really growing to like him a lot.
So we came back from Christmas break, and we started talking in person, face to face, about the things that we had been virtually talking about. Family, faith, friends, our Christmas break, all these things. And it was really good, but I still knew that she was a slow mover and that I couldn't just go for it. We had to still take our time. So we started hanging out in groups and doing fun things and watching each other's favorite TV shows. And one night, after we had finished watching TV, I made a move.
So it's like 1 a.m. and he's about to leave because open dorm is over. And he turns to me and he says, "Hey, I'm gonna go to Waffle House." By himself? "I'm wondering if you want to come with me." And in my head I'm like, so if I didn't come with you, you would still go to Waffle House by yourself at 1 a.m.
That was my worst line. And as I said it, I thought, why did you say that? But she came with me. So we went out to Waffle House, and then later, after Waffle House, now this is like 2 a.m., we went driving. For about 3 hours, we just drove around and talked, and this is finally when we had a conversation about where are we, and what are our feelings for each other, and what are we doing?
So we go on this long drive, and I keep going back and forth, thinking, do I want to date him? I don't know. I don't know if I have all these feelings. I've never done this before. I just have no idea what to do. And he graciously says, "You know what? You can take as long as you want to decide. You can come back tomorrow and say yeah, or you can say, nope, I don't want to do this at all." And that was really reassuring to me. Obviously, I could have done that anyway, but just because he said it, I felt really reassured.
So a week went by since that drive, and there was a big ice skating thing that was happening at the Jones Center through campus. So Megan and Taylor and Sara and I went out ice skating. Now, ice skating is the worst date for people that are kind of dating, but they're not dating. Because ice skating, there's a lot of like falling and a lot of almost holding hands or a lot of grabbing arms. So everyone there knew that Sara and I, there was something going on. It had been going on for months. But the entire time we were just skating in circles, never holding hands. It was just like two people just talking on ice. It was very funny. So after ice skating, we went and we played games with Megan and Taylor. We went back to campus and Jake and Cassie joined us. And we were playing cribbage, we were having a blast, and then it was time for the guys to go. And I thought that was the end of the night. Until...
So as soon as the door shut, I turned to Megan and Cassie and I was like, guys, I think I want to start dating him. And they were like, what? You have to text him right now. I was like, well, I don't know if I should. He's going back to go to sleep. I just don't know. And they're like, you need to. So finally, I texted him and said something like, we need to talk.
What she actually said was, would you like to go on a walk? And I didn't really know how serious this walk was. So I said something like, would you like a piggyback ride instead? And she said something like, ha ha ha, which was like, okay, it's a good thing, it's a happy thing, we're okay. So I grabbed Taylor's jacket because I was in Taylor's room and we went on a walk. And she met me between, right in front of the Soderquist Business Center, and she said, Justin, I think we should date.
So then we started dating. And I could tell you about a lot of things about that. Things like when he took me to meet his family, the day after we started dating.
When she wanted to break up with me 3 days into the relationship.
Or when our first kiss could have been on a paddle boat watching the sunset, and instead it was in a smelly attic.
Or how at the end of our first summer dating, we thought, how are we going to wait to get married?
Or just daily life things like running together, or going on little dates together, going up to Kansas City, things like that. We just had a lot of fun. Or after almost a year and a half, he told me he loved me on the back porch of his house.
Or that time when her dad had pneumonia and I asked him if I could marry his daughter.
Or that time we went to the beach and he set up a scavenger hunt for me and he asked me to be his wife.
We could tell you a ton of stories about all of our dating relationship, but we thought you might like to know how it all began. You all have in one way or another been an integral part of our life, and we are so glad that you are here to share it with us.
We hope you guys have a great night. Thanks so much for being here.
We love you.
Love ya.
I love you too.